Today on Locked On Red Wings, DeBrincat's 3 points carries Detroit over the Penguins.
Are we a wagon?
We're a freaking wagon. Let's go. 3 in a row, 3-1-0 on the season, 6 points, top of the Atlantic Division. Boom!
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley. I'm a podcast producer for the Daily J, a WWJ News Radio podcast, and Scotty's a host over at Locked On Tigers, as well as a freelance journalist for the Detroit News. And on today's episode, we're going to talk about the Red Wings' 6-3 win over the Pittsburgh Penguins, courtesy of Larkin and DeBrincat's 3-point nights and Ville Husso's stellar performance in that. But before we get to that,
we're back, baby. Yes, sir. We are a wagon.
And on that note, today's episode is brought to you guys by FanDuel, official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers can get $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. Scotty, third win in a row, starting the season right with a big win over the Pittsburgh Penguins. I mean, there's so much to get to in this game. It was a close game. I thought that there were periods where both teams I thought looked like the better team. Overall, the numbers at the end of the night were very close in pretty much every single metric. And I think that is a great sign because we talked last night, Scotty, about the fact that the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Detroit Red Wings, despite their trajectories heading into opposite directions, are kind of ships passing each other right now at the same point. They're both teams that are probably more than likely fringe wildcard teams. And so this was a game that if you win, it's going to bode well for your future. And you didn't just win. You won by 3 goals. Granted, 2 of those were empty nets at the end. But, I mean, you had a 4-1 lead. This game had a lot to like. It had some things, of course, like every game, you want to improve upon. And it's still early yet, so we're trying not to get too far away. But, Scotty, I mean, It's hard to complain about your third win in a row over a playoff caliber team in a convincing fashion.
Yeah, I this weekend is huge for the Red Wings, right? And we talked about it yesterday, and we'll preview those games plural tomorrow. But I said yesterday, you don't want to look ahead, right? It's really difficult to not look ahead because this weekend, Ottawa is obviously Saturday. That's going to be a huge, huge game that we'll talk about, like I said, tomorrow. But this Penguins team is, as you have mentioned, they're maybe heading in different directions, one trending up, one trending down, hopefully, but they're kind of intersecting and they're both in that same caliber and same tier of team. And to comfortably outplay them through 2 periods. And obviously it got closer there toward the end and the empty netters, whatever, but it's just, it was a very, very important win given the next 2 games ahead of them this weekend as well.
Yeah. And I mean, I was there at the game, so I'll be honest, guys, when you're there at the game, it's a very different experience when you're trying to watch the sport, especially where I was sitting at kind of an awkward angle. I didn't get the best angles of every single goal scored, but nonetheless, I saw a lot of really good hockey from this team. The first couple minutes, not so great when the Penguins immediately got out to an early lead, courtesy of Evgeny Malkin. 53 seconds into that game, they were up 1-0. I was like, oh man, I picked the wrong game to go to. But after that first initial 5 minutes, I thought the Red Wings kind of came back, and it's supported by the advanced analytics. Corsi for percentage, 14 shot attempts for, 15 against, 7 shots for, 6 against. So they technically outshot the Penguins by the end of that period. Expected goals for percentage, everything in those first 2 periods was neck and neck for these 2 teams. Technically the Penguins had the edge in pretty much everything except for even shots for. The Red Wings had the edge in shots for in the first 2 periods, but advanced metrics, Penguins had the edge, but it was ever so close. At the end of the game, if you look at the total box score, shots were 33-29, only 4 shots separating, 9 hits each. Face-off percentages was 54-40 or 54-46. It was everything. Penalty minutes was 13 apiece. everything about this game was neck and neck in the box score. Yet, despite that, the Red Wings scored 3 more goals than the Penguins. And I think that's incredibly important thing to note, because this, like I said, to lead off the show, this is a team that you're competing with. And I mean, if you want to talk, Scotty, about primary reasons why the Red Wings win this hockey game, I think there's 2 players that kind of go hand in hand that you have to lead off with, and that's Dylan Larkin and Alex DeBrincat. Like, absolutely were stellar in this game.
Yeah, I think that's maybe even an understatement a little bit. Dylan Larkin is unbelievable. That's 3 points tonight, all via assist. I mean, there were some takes flying around after this game that look like Larkin, you know, there I saw just like assist total like predictions thrown out there. Like he's gonna have a year. And like we talked about, and again, we're 4 games into the season. We'll see how the season plays out. I'm sure there will be some ups and downs as the year goes, but we talked so much. We've just obviously talked so much about Dylan Larkin in total over the last couple of years. And one of the bigger things that we kept bringing up earlier on was like, yeah, you know, he is probably not going to get too much better production-wise with this current roster, but if you can add more talent, then his ceiling could get even higher and higher because the assist numbers would go up. And putting him on a line with one of, if not the best pure goal scorer that he's ever shared a line with, is unbelievably exciting. And very early on, again, obviously, you know, as much as we're trying to ride the hype train right now, like DeBrincat is not going to average a goal a game over the entirety of the season, or over a goal a game for the entirety of the season. And Larkin isn't going to get 3 assists a night. Like,
bite your tongue.
That's not right. Obviously, that's not going to be sustained to this magnitude that we've seen early on. But I think that we are starting to see that the fruits of that labor kind of come to fruition. Like, if it's always been like, if what happens, we know the Larkin talent level. What happens if we surround him with some more talent, though? He's never been on a uber good roster, at least, you know, since you could argue his like rookie season. So this is really exciting. And the fact that we're not playing like let's wait and see, or like, everybody calm down, just give it some time. The fact that we don't have to play that game and it's just hit the ground running, and if anything, we have to kind of like pull the leash back on people's expectations, is a fantastic and unbelievably fun place to be in.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about it. You know, there was a lot of expectations on Alex DeBrincat, right? Like, coming in, and again, 4 games into the season, but he's got 8 points in 4 games, guys. He has 5
goals. He has 5 goals in 4 games.
And the fact that he's racking up the assists too just talks about that
He's
synergy.
scoring at even strength as well. Like, everybody was like, all the contrarians or like just Sens fans were like, you know, he's only going to score on the power play, like whatever. Like, he's scoring on even strength too, man.
I mean, there was a lot of expectation on his shoulders, and you know, I tweeted it half jokingly, like, is it too early to say that the trade worked out for the Red Wings' favor, right? But I mean, through 4 games, he's looked like more than what we bargained for. Like, we had pretty conservative expectations for DeBrincat coming into the season, like thinking 30, 35 goals, because we knew he had a down year last year, and we didn't know how high his ceiling is without Patrick Kane. We know he's a really good player, but we also know Patrick Kane at that time in his career was an awesome player. So we weren't sure where exactly he lied, he lied regardless. But we did have faith that putting him with Larkin, they'd find that chemistry. Him coming home, he'd find that motivation that he said that maybe he lacked in his year in Ottawa. And so far this season, he's had it. He's been so very involved, especially in the offensive zone, but not to denote what he's done in the defensive zone too. Not that he's been like the best defensive player in the world, but he's been noticeable.
Yeah, dude, he's not like he's just on the forecheck. He hasn't been a traffic cone out there.
No, I mean,
like you said, I mean, he's not like the best defensive forward we have, certainly, and he was on the ice for one of the early goal. Obviously, that was very early on in the game, but like, yeah, man, he's played a really aggressive forecheck. His stick is, I mean, very, very active. He's out there poking pucks all game. Like, yeah, man, he's certainly not like I said, he's not a traffic cone out there for sure.
And like he has this really quick release. Like he almost scored a goal in I think the second period. Yeah, because it was on the end of the ice where they were shooting.
He had one in the first period that he was about this much over the shoulder away from burying as well.
And it's crazy how quick it is. Like seeing it in person, because I got to see it like pretty close up from where I was sitting. It didn't even look like it made it on his stick before. Like he was already mid-release, which I guess you would call like a one-timer, but it wasn't a one-timer. My point is like he got it off so fast that Jari didn't have like a good enough reaction time and barely got to it. It's incredible. And, you know, Larkin's bringing that out of him, and it's very much shown in the 3 assists that he had today. He also had the assist, great feed on the Ben Sherratt goal.
Ben Sherratt, baby.
And then he got the assist on the power play.
Big game, Ben.
We could call that a Sherrocket, boys.
Delete your account.
No. You saw that tweet? You like that?
I did. I chose not to interact with it like a normal human.
You didn't retweet it?
No, it's terrible.
How am I supposed to know you love me if you don't retweet it?
Ad break.
Anyways, the point here is Larkin and DeBrincat are so far through 4 games bringing out the best in each other. And obviously they got points outside of playing with one another in this game. But that top line has been incredible. And not to discount Raymond either. I thought Raymond's looked really good through those first 3 games too, as that extra playmaker pass first guy.
Yeah.
But DeBrincat and Larkin have had incredible chemistry. We're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we're going to continue talking about this team. Husso had his best game so far in this early season. Also, special teams were fantastic, and we do have a giveaway coming up. We haven't hammered out the details, but we can tease it for you here in this one. So stay tuned to Locked On Red Wings. But first, I got to talk to you guys today about FanDuel. Scotty, care to take a guess about how much money that I won today?
Please don't do it.
I won a grand total of 54 cents on my bets today, guys. High roller over here. I won one duel or won one bet and lost the other. But it's fun nonetheless when you're using FanDuel, and when you use it for fun, guys, it keeps you engaged in the season and the games going around the NHL and the NFL, as the Lions are 5-1 to start the season. Best time to hop on that bandwagon, guys, and bet the odds-on favorite to win the division and soon-to-be Super Bowl favorite Lions. So snap into the action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting odds, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Segment 2, Locked On Red Wings podcast. Scotty and I are breaking down the Red Wings 6-3 win over the Pittsburgh Penguins, their 3rd win in a row to start this season. Tied for first in the Atlantic Division with those pesky Ottawa Senators. Scotty, real quick, before we talk about Ville Husso too and the special teams, we talked about how close this game was between the Red Wings and the Penguins, but how about how close this season has been through 4 games? Again, you know, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but the Red Wings and the Senators have the same record through 4 games, 3-1-0, 6 points. Both teams have 19 goals for, and Senators have 10 goals against, and the Wings have 11 goals against. So just like absolute mirrors of each other going through. They won 6-1 over the Washington Capitals. That was the bet that I lost.
They're also both on 3-game win streaks.
Yes.
Their goal differentials are 1 goal apart, like you said. Like, yeah, it's kind of wild how after all off season, these 2 organizations and fan bases just completely going at each other's throats, and now 4 games in, we are almost identical on paper.
Saturday is going to matter. It's going to be a big
Saturday
deal.
is going to be a movie, dog. I cannot wait. We'll talk about it more tomorrow, obviously. But
I can't wait, assuming my team wins. If they lose, then I could have waited longer. Anyways.
Well, if we lose, it's October. Who cares?
Exactly. Whatever fits the narrative. See,
narrative
Scotty and I, we got it. We're on top of things for you guys. Ville Husso had his best game of the season, I think, so far.
Great.
You know, in both of the first 2 games, I think there were questionable goals that he allowed. I wasn't putting it all on him. Like, again, the Steven Stamkos shorthanded glove side. you got to make that save, right? Like glove side, short side especially. But again, Steven Stamkos is one of the best shooters. The one that was short side over his shoulder against Jack Hughes. Jack Hughes is one of the best of the game again, but you got to seal up that corner. But he didn't have one in this game where I thought to myself, he should have had that one. Two of them were through screens. Evgeny Malkin. I mean, he in this game I thought played great. And in the third period, especially, despite the fact that he allowed 2 in the third period, the Wings were getting so heavily dominated in that third period in every statistical category. He kept them in it. Like that third period, it was like a nonstop whoo, because he was making big save after big save. He came away in that game with an expected or goal saved above expected of 1.04. So not only did he have a save percentage over 900 in this game, he
909.
909, correct. He made more. He saved one more goal than statistically, advanced analytically, I should say, he was deemed responsible for. So he had a big effect on this game. It was his best game of the season so far. And for me, goes a long way to like reassuring because, you know, while we weren't necessarily blaming him for a lot of the goals in the loss and then the win against the Tampa Bay Lightning, we weren't coming on here and being like, he had a good game. He was just okay. This is the first game I think I can definitively say Husso looked good. He was tracking the puck very well. He was lateraling very well. Response time was awesome. He was making a lot of big saves. I loved what I saw out of him in this one.
Yeah, honestly, I think specifically for me, it was the second period. I thought I don't want to say single-handedly because like the Wings obviously offensively did well this entire game, but second period that he had several like high danger opportunities, like defensive lapses. We'd be coming on here talking about like defensive breakdowns and it's not Husso's fault, etc. And he just completely erased that conversation and made a big save. A couple of them was really using the mitt in this game, and like obviously, you know, you gotta save them wherever they're shot. But he was really we were in full catcher mode, baby. He was catching a lot tonight. So I thought he looked fantastic, and I thought the first 2 periods he was a huge reason, you know, after whatever, a minute and a half into the first period, he was a huge reason why they were able to keep the Penguins down and take that big lead. And then, like you said, I mean, I guess all 3 periods he was good, because then, like you said, in the third, even though the Penguins scored rather a couple of goals, I thought that he still made some timely ones. But really, the second period to me was like his best period of the season so far.
Yeah, I can't necessarily disagree with you. I thought that he looked great in this one. And also what looked great was special teams in this game. Special teams continue to be
power play
fantastic. And penalty kill too.
Yeah,
3 for 3. They were 5 for 5 against the Columbus Blue Jackets, and then 3 for 3 against a power play that includes Chris Letang, Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, and Erik Karlsson, and Jake Guentzel. I don't know if all those guys play power play time, but those are the best players on their freaking team. So like, and some of the best who have ever played the game. So to go for 3 for 3 on the power play, the penalty kill against those guys is incredible. And then the Red Wings went 2 for 3 on their own power play. The passing on that power play, especially power play unit 1, blows my freaking mind. It was that. So Perron's goal, I question early, like his usage. I saw the merit to it because he is like a really strong on the puck guy. He's great for going behind the net, and I always thought he was good at that. But I was curious about in front how good he'd be. I'm not going to like make any conclusions on that after one goal, but he banked home a good rebound on a shot from Dylan Larkin and an assist from, you know, obviously the assist goes to Larkin for the initial shot, but also assisted by Alex DeBrincat. It was great passing play. And then it says that they went 2 for 3 on the power play. I'm trying to think where that second power play goal came from. Oh, DeBrincat's was technically, yeah. DeBrincat's empty net goal was a power play goal. So yes, the Red Wings power play goal, second power play goal was DeBrincat's empty net goal because they challenged the first empty net goal and then got a subsequent penalty.
Oh, that's right.
So it was 6 on 5.
I forgot about that whole drama to end the game.
Or 5 on 5 rather. So yes, it was DeBrincat's.
What was your thought on that? You thought he was offsides or no?
Honestly, everything, like, they don't really show you a whole lot of replays on the Jumbotron.
Oh, really? They didn't have it on, like, the Jumbotron or anything?
So I was just like, it could have been. But then they said it wasn't. So like,
I honestly thought he was offsides. I didn't think the skate It was really close though, like genuinely as close as you can be. Like they had like the lineup where they split the screen in half and had, you know, the was it Rasmussen on one, and then they had like Copp handling the puck on the other, and they were like zooming in on both. Like it really was super, super close. I actually think he was like offsides, but I also understand like you kind of got to go with the call on the ice when it's that close, and I think that's what they did.
Yeah, and I know that there's a stipulation now, like if it's kind of like the catch rule in the NFL, like if you have forward, if you're moving the puck forward, you don't have to have like complete possession necessarily. But like if you're moving the puck forward, like your skate can cross first. It's really bizarre.
Yeah.
It's not clear anymore as it was. Let's take a quick break, Scotty. I wish we could talk more about the special teams. It looks so good. Special teams is great, guys, and I'm really pumped about it. But when we come back, we'll talk about the rest of the guys that I thought looked great, and talk about the giveaway that we're going to tease as well. Because I thought the fourth line, Scotty, looked fantastic again. I know limited playing time, they get less than 10 minutes, but every time they're out there, they make an impact. And I love Joe Veleno, and I know you want to give your flowers to Andrew Copp. So there's a lot more love to go around. But first, I got to talk to you guys today about Jase. The Jase case is a personalized emergency medication kit that contains 5 essential antibiotics that treat the most common and deadly bacterial infections. You can also customize your case and add additional life-saving medications based on your unique needs. Go to jasemedical.com, enter code LOCKEDON at checkout for a $20 discount on your order. That's promo code LOCKEDON at jasemedical.com. Segment 3, Lockdown Red Wings podcast. Scotty, I want to give my flowers to the fourth line. So us giving flowers to thing. I mean, you were saying this last year, but now I've caught on to it as well. So we're just giving flowers to people all the time now. But
What's wrong with that, baby?
I continually am in love with the way that this fourth line has performed. I know that they get less than 10 minutes of even strength time per night. I understand this. So I know when they perform really well, especially metrically, that it doesn't really, you know, it's basically 9 shot attempts for, 7 against, but they're continually at the top of the list. And I know that's in a short amount of time, but the fact that they're able to make an impact of that level in the little amount of ice time that they get, like, for example, Zarnik, who, by the way, had a beautiful assist on the cross-crease goal for DeBrincat.
Beautiful, dude.
Beautiful. And I initially tweeted it was Raymond because I saw the 2 on the other end of the ice, and I was like, oh, it was Raymond and DeBrincat. And then it wasn't. I was like, oh, that was Zarnik that made that. How did that even happen? But Zarnik, Kostin, and Fisher, expected goals against for those 3 respectively, 0.06, 0.05, and 0.16. Like, defensively, that line is solid. And I know they're playing against the Penguins' fourth line, but they've been great, and they generate solid offense given who they're playing against and the time that they're given. You know, 0.51, 0.43, 0.43, respectively for each 3, and expected goals for. 9 shot attempts, 8 shot attempts, 8 shot attempts, all more than shot attempts against. They're all positive in Corsi for, Fenwick, shots for, expected goals for, and especially relative as well. So relative on the ice.
Whatever stat you like, these guys crush it.
Absolutely. Zarnik was the 2nd best player on the team at Hockey Stat Cards, which takes not just the advanced stats, but the basic stats as well, and compiles it into a nice formula and tries to adhere a nice, easy game score for you to read. Granted, again, ice time, right? So Zarnik's, of course, impact felt a little bit greater because he had less ice time. It's all about, you know, relative to how much that they play. But he was 2nd in the team in that span. So, you know, I just really like and plus the physicality of the fourth line. They bring such a much needed edge. I know Zarnik's temporary until Fabry's healthy. They're dogs.
They're dogs.
But, I mean, have someone like Zarnik down in the AHL who you could plug and play right into your lineup, who knows the system and is going to eat NHL minutes, 5-10 minutes a night. It's so nice. And then Kostin has proved himself worthy as a guy who can just bring the crushing physical edge. And Christian Fischer is no slouch either. He's been great too, physically and, of course, on the penalty kill.
He's a dog.
He's a dog. So I love the fourth line. I just want to talk and give love to everyone who I thought played well. We talked so much about the top line, but they played great too.
Yeah, man. I mean, we're seeing why this coaching staff was like so open and kind of like shoving it in all of our faces, honestly, in the preseason. Like, this fourth line this fourth line rocks, right? Like, that's all we heard about, like, all preseason. Like, we just trade for a 40-goal scorer. Like, we signed 11 free agents, and one of the biggest storylines of the preseason was the fourth line. We were like, what the heck is the big deal? And again, we're 4 games in, but that they've played so well together. Christian Fisher, man, early candidate for dog of the year. What an absolute monster. I love that man. I really do.
Well, it's crazy too. You go back like 3 weeks ago and we were like going, really? You're going to keep Fisher and Koss in the lineup? And
yeah, I mean, when we first signed him, we literally were like, oh yeah, 13th forward. And like that obviously went out the window pretty quickly, but
a nice humbling experience for us just to prove that no, we don't know anything in the end.
Yeah, hopefully some things, but yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where again, like we heard about it so much and it's finally like coming to fruition. And then like you talked about the depth, and I think that that's an important point to bring up too, man. Like this is all of the moves that we make, you know, people look at the AHL signings or the two-way forwards, right? And like the last 2 years, especially, Yzerman has made it a point to sign a lot of those guys. And if any of those dudes are playing, you know, like in your middle six or better, then like you've got some problems going on probably, right? Like there's obviously an injury bug has gone through, or like you lack depth, et cetera, et cetera. But to give you that cushion of like, oh, if multiple injuries even happen, we can reach into the well and bring up, you know, a bottom six caliber NHL hockey player and not really lose a step as long as our top guys are still on the ice, is something that this team has not had in literally years and years and years. And it's so nice. And I think it's a very overlooked part and an aspect of this team when it's going to be all said and done. I want to give some flowers to Copp as well. I thought Copper, like last season, was just such a roller coaster, and you know, a lot of people kind of got off the Copp like wagon and were like, yeah, you know, he had a rough year last year. He got off to a super slow start last season. And while I don't think he's going to be earning shootout opportunities anytime soon, if we go into a shootout anytime in the near future, as he's already 0-2 on penalty shots 4 games into the season somehow. So that certainly like could be better. But this is a guy that offensively, 4 games into the season, what does he already have? 3, even 4 goals now? Like he's been, I think it's 3.
Yeah. He's
been that like gritty type of, you know, like not afraid to go into the corners, not afraid to forecheck really aggressively, like gonna be in the face-off circle consistently. Like he's the guy that we advertised last summer so far this year, because we never really got to see it at full health last season. And again, we're 4 games in. I'm hoping that it's maintained. Obviously the, you know, almost goal a game pace is not going to be maintained for Copp, but like to see him get off to a hot start, I think is awesome to see, and will kind of put a lot of the fan base at ease that maybe was worried about him last season.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, that's just a good start to get off to. Again, empty net goal, but the deflection goal he had was great. Michael Rasmussen getting the apple on that.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Also, I wanted to mention Joe Veleno as well. Another guy didn't necessarily not showing up on the score sheet, but has been so incredibly involved in the defensive zone.
Yeah.
Like, especially in the second period, I noticed that he was just constantly behind the net for the Red Wings, helping dig that puck out and get possession. Like I've been loving, again, not necessarily showing up on the score sheet yet, but I've been loving what I've been seeing out of Joe Veleno in this early season here. Outside that, Sherratt and Jeff Petrie, I gotta say, like I was super skeptical scratching Justin Holl, because I thought Justin Holl hasn't really necessarily deserved to be scratched yet in the season. I think this is technically, I think I said yesterday he had been scratched, but I was thinking of the last preseason game against Toronto. This is the first regular season game he's been scratched for, I believe. But he and Petrie and Sherratt, the pair that I was like the most questionable about, had a pretty dang good game in this one. They both blocked. Sherratt blocked 3 shots and Petrie blocked 2. And with how much the Penguins dominated the third period, and yeah, they scored 2 goals in the third period, so not the best look, but those blocked shots came in incredibly important, as well as Husso's saves towards the winning of this game. And Sherratt, Petrie had a good physical game. They were really aggravating the other team, as was Seider and Wollman. And I know
Seider and Wollman got into it, man.
Yeah.
And I know chippy game. We haven't even really talked about that. This was a
Larkin got into a fight. Did we even mention that?
Yeah, we haven't. No.
We appreciate
and like obviously he fell down. It looked like on the replay, it looked like, just like let go of the jersey and Larkin's momentum made him fall down. But captain, my captain, baby. I love a good captain that'll drop the gloves. I also
I love it and hate it though, right?
Yeah, like obviously you need him on the ice, but it was at that point. I'm pretty sure it was 4-1.
Yeah,
like,
it was
at that point in the game, you're not really thinking like, oh, like shoot. But obviously, hindsight's 20/20. It ended up, you'd rather he was on the ice more. But
I love that he's willing to do that for his team, though.
For sure, 100%. Obviously, great quality in a captain there. But the thing that I'm realizing is we've said, oh, it was a pretty chippy game, like about pretty much every game this season. And maybe not the Columbus one, but for 3 of the first 4 games here, like we've come on here after the games, been like, oh, that was a pretty physical, chippy game, and
even
that was just something that the team lacked so much last season. And to see early on, even if they're not, like the aggressor necessarily, or going out there and winning a ton of fights or like whatever, like even if it's not like uber like dramatic on one side of the scale, like just seeing them have that physicality and not back down from teams and really, at points be the aggressive team is nice to see early on, man.
Oh, I completely agree. I mean, I think this is
one of the biggest areas of need we said going into the offseason.
I mean, one of the biggest narratives around this team last season, especially down the stretch, is how soft they were.
Yeah, well, the Ottawa back-to-back is what did it. Like, that's where the narrative started and ended. Like, that was just what it was.
I don't think that they want that narrative to stick with them. So I think that they're making a concerted effort to, like, be a more physical, intimidating team, which is why you have guys like Justin Holt, Jeff Petrie, Klim Kostin acquired. You need guys on this team that are
playing Saturday.
Oh yeah, I think so.
I think Hall's playing Saturday.
I'm trying to think what else. Oh, I was talking about Woolman and Seider. Advanced analytically, they had a pretty bad game, but they're also the pair that's out there in the most important minutes against the best players. And they made, in my opinion, some really big clutch plays. Woolman made he intercepted a pass, blocked a pass across from, I think it was Crosby meant for Malkin in the third period. That would have been a guaranteed goal. They both blocked 3 and 2 shots respectively between Woolman and Seider. Like I know Advanced Analytically is going to say that they got kind of their heads caved in this game, but watching it with my eyes, I saw 2 guys that were trying to keep that team desperately in it and did so successfully. So yeah, it's going to show a lot of times. That's why sometimes you got to take advanced analytics with a grain of salt, where a guy who played 5 minutes like Zarnik is going to be at the top of your charts, and a guy like Moritz Seider and Jake Woolman are going to be at the bottom of your charts. But that's where that disparity in ice time and matchups comes in. I think Woolman and Seider, I think they look fine. And then and just so all 3 pairs get mentioned, Goss's pair and Mata looked fine. I didn't pay too much close attention to them in this game. I was watching Petrie and Sherrod a lot. I wanted to see how they played, but I didn't see anything from that pair that I was like, oh no.
No, and like Ghost had the assist, right? So yeah, I think it was a secondary, but
he still counts.
Yeah, man. I agree with everything you said.
Good. I'm glad you do. And speaking of Jake Woolman, I have a Jake Woolman game use stick that came courtesy of Hockeytown Authentics, the team store at Little Caesars Arena. I appreciate all my friends down there for getting me the hookup on that stick. It is not, I don't advise playing with it because the bottom of the blade here, the heel here is like shattered and splintered. Can't really see it well on the camera back down here. I almost gave myself a splinter. You know how this stuff is. It's very finicky. But we are going to be doing a giveaway with it. We haven't hammered out the details yet, so we will let you know when we do have it figured out. But we will be giving away.
You'll just have to keep watching.
You'll just have to stay tuned to find out more.
That's called a tease in the biz, baby.
So yeah, game used Jake Woolman stick. I think that might be the best stick we've given away yet because we've done Kubalik and Fabry, I think.
Yeah, I mean, like, you want to rank players, I guess. That's a weird thing to say, but like, sure.
Well, I mean, like Woolman's a top pair defense.
Yeah, top. I get it.
Fabry and Kubalik were like middle 6 forwards.
Yeah. I'm just
both great players. Not trying to throw shade at them.
Awesome, man. Well, it'll be similar to what we usually do as far as that stuff goes.
Yeah, we'll do something. You know, we'll see. We got to figure it out. We'll figure it out. We've put zero thought into it. We put a zero thought.
Well,
into
it just happened
honestly.
tonight. Yeah, well, we found out we were doing it like an hour and a half ago. So,
you know, when I made best friends with Jameson Williams too. So I didn't even say hi to him. He was getting swarmed. I just took a picture of him.
You folded after 2 seconds of me. I just had a straight face after you said you were best friends. You folded immediately.
Because you
You're
did
like,
that thing. You did that thing where I try to be funny and then you just don't react, and then it's awkward, and I feel the need to fill the
yeah,
void.
it's intentional. I want you to sit in your bad, awful joke. Break your camera, dude. Own me. Yeah, nice.
Breaking your camera to own the Scotties.
That's insane.
Will, you got any final thoughts, dude?
We ball, baby.
Big game on Saturday. We'll preview that and the Calgary game on Sunday. And tomorrow.
Big weekend, man, for real. Really, really like important weekend. And that's why this Pittsburgh game was so important.
As important as a 5th game of the season.
No, literally though. Like straight up. Like this is the most important October hockey game like ever. Like seriously. And if we lose, then it's just October. Get out of here.
Exactly. Yeah, right? It doesn't matter. We'll be back with a new episode tomorrow, guys, so stay tuned for that. Same time, same place. It's your team every day.
Every day.